Hierdie gaan 'n ander tipe gifie wees. Standaardprosedures gehou. Gryp vir jouself ietsie om te sluk. En dan leef my rustig. Because it's chill. Dit is chill. Dit is chill. Alles is chill. Hierdie kersie. Die draai my gereeld. Want hy sal soos mooi smelt en dan onthou hy mooi om te smelt en jy skielik doen hy net nie. Stel mekaar nog ken. So hy spaal op die storie met begin van daai. Hierdie is die kerse weergawe van wanneer die honde vir ons gaan na die Seeing that it is a new moon in Virgo today, gaan ek my favouriteste incense brand. Oh, lovely. Dit is so lekker. Vol my spice. Dit is gewoonlik die dele wat ek uitknip. Toen of ek so met myself gesels en goed vir my uitfigure. On your way to the top, don't forget to stop and smell the roses. Jy hoef onder geen omstandighede ook dit te doen. Ek maak dit gou my torso los, dat ek kan chat. Ek ben my markertjies, is dat op swaas en op sprootjies gee. Ek het gesit eers en dit was okay gewees my. Het is gemakkelijk om te sit en chat ook wees nie, as jy gemakkelijk sit by. En ek het nie gemakkelijk gesit nie, so ek het knap sit en gaan staan. En ek moet sê, dit is vir my nogal baie meer gemakkelijk as wat ek gevoel het. Net soos sit. Ja, ek praat ook met my hande en ek voel wanneer ek sit en ek praat met my hande, dan val ek tijger van my stoel af, want ek so sit en ek chat. So wanneer ek staan, gaan ek, wanneer ek val, definitief harder val. Maar ek gaan ook 'n groter kans om myself te keer om nie te val. So verstaan ek sê. As jy nou iets het om te drink en jy is rustig, welkom by my YouTube kanaal. Ek weet honestly nie eers waar om te begin nie. So, for today's video, we are going to catch up a little bit, you and I, because it's been a while since I posted on my YouTube. And I said I was going to do that in the previous video. If you're there, if you're here because you watched it, you're there, if you're here. If you are here because you watched that video and you're curious as to what the story is, that stuff, in case you have never seen my face before, my name is Nedine. This is my YouTube channel. What appears to be capture my experience of getting my shit together, which I have come to realize is not a destination. You're never going to feel like, shop, ek het nou my slippies agter mekaar nie. Nee. Daar gaan altyd disruptions wees. So jy gaan nou maar jou kakkoet agter mekaar kry in die disruption. En dis wat ons doen. Hierso. So hallo, hi, welcome back to my channel. Ek hoop baie graag, eintlik. Net soos ten minste een persoon te kan help. In 'n tyd wat jy dink dat jy glad nie hierdie hoop gaan kan shovel nie. En evenal is jy nog steeds alleen in daai oomblik, nee, net soos daai stemmetjie daar is wat vir jou sê, jy's eintlik okay. Okay. en dan soos magically gebeur al die shit. Vir my om 'n tribe te vind van mense wat mindfully aligned is, soos wat ek is, of wat ook baie keer groot geword het met sekere maniere om goeders te doen, en soos wat jy jou ouer word, vind jy, nah, that shit's not gonna work for me. Het gaan nie vir my werk nie, so gaan nie verander. Baie keer gaan jy ongemaklike gesprekke oor dit nie hê. Soos ek is, dan doen jy weird shit. Ek weet nie, ons almal weet wat so weird shit ons doen. Ek hoop jy weet wat so weird shit is wat jy doen. Because it has occurred to me onlangs that for me to truly speak to that one person, you listening to this up until this point, because you're more than just a curious cat, you actually want to know what it is that I have to say. Vir jou, om te verstaan wat dit is wat aangaan in my lewe en hoe ek met dit deel en soos hoe ek my tyd spandeer en die tipe shit wat ek research. Vir my om daai deel te kan deel online, gaan ek net soos jou moet opcatch oor 'n paar goed en ook jou net moet bewus maak van 'n paar goedjies wat ek onlangs uitgevind het, wat nogal cool is. So that is what we're gonna do today. Yes, ek weet. It's been a very long time since I filmed my YouTube and a lot of shit's gonna change. Ek moes eers al my video's gaan kyk het vir my om te kan verstaan min of meer waar die gap is in my online diary. Dat nogal baie goedjies verander. Al daai, yes, guaranteed 100% was op my must-do lists gewees toe ek dit gefilm het. Alhoewel, ja, dit is soort van dit, maar in dieselfde asem is dit nie helemaal wat ek eintlik wou gedoen het met my YouTube nie. Please don't get me wrong. Making a dream catcher, making a birthday list and all that jazz, yes, it is important, and it is very important if you want to have your shit together and you don't want your mom to message you and ask you, listen, why didn't you, hoekom het jy dit nou nie vir jou neefie gesê van ek met sy verjaarsdag nie? Because, byvoorbeeld as daai my rede gewees, hoekom ek my birthday list gemaak het. Maar ek dink nie ek het dit ooit gesê in my video nie. En dit is soort van die punt van die video. En ek kan nie verstaan hoekom ek dit nie net soos gespeak het nie, hoekom ek nie daai truth gespeak nie. Dit confuse my. Soos baie keer kyk ek vir 'n jonger weergawe van myself en ek is net soos 'n jaar terug het ek 'n video geupload of Make a Dream Catcher with me. En sy is so mooi, sy is nog steeds hier. Sy is nog steeds hier soos sy hang. Maybe, wat ons kan sien. Ek sal vir jou video wys in hierdie video. Maar sy is nog steeds saam met my. Maar soos ek het nooit regtig geshare hoekom ek 'n Dream Catcher gemaak het nie. En wat 'n Dream Catcher is nie. En ek dink nie eers dit was regtig 'n tutorial video gewees nie, dit was net soos 'n probeerslag gewees. En so het ek toe nou myself gevind, sit en deur al my video's gaan. En vir myself die vraag vra, okay Dina, as ek jou nou glad nie geken het nie, en ek het nou net hierdie video's gekyk, gaan ek voel ek ken jou beter? Gaan ek voel ek wil volgende week terugkom en hoor wat het jy te sê? Het jy my iets geleer? Het jy 'n las van my skouers afgehaal? Het jy vir my dalk soos net 'n flippin cool resep gegee wat ek net nodig het in my lewe? Want ek hou nie van kos maak nie en dan help dit my. Ja, Dina het sulke resepte. Maar vind van dat Dina het tog nooit geshare op haar YouTube nie. Okay, so mind you, hierdie is die 6de keer wat ek attempt om in die video te film. En as jy dink dit gaan oor die feit dat ek net soos myself dit klapbaar gejudge het, is 10 to 1 correct. Ek het definitief ek het vergeet om my phone op flight mode te sit. Ek dink ek gaan gou die video stop en dit eers doen. Want daai was 'n groot rede en frustrasie gewees in my vorige journaling sessions. So, I'm gonna be right back. Daar's om not vreeslik te kere gaan nie buite. Ek het nie 'n troetel weer nie, maar as my hondjie so geblaf het, ek regtig gehoor het. It is none of my business. It has dawned on me dat ek vir 'n baie lang tyd myself verskriklik moeg gemaak het. Julle mission rondom creating content vir wat ek dink jy wil sien op my channel. Maar eintlik het ek geen idee wat dit is wat jy wil sien op my channel nie. Eintlik wag jy vir my om vir jou iets te gee om te sien op my channel. En dit maak soveel sin, maar hoor maar net uit, dit maak nou sin want ek het dit nou uitgefigure. Maar in die oomblik van daai chaos van soos, okay, hierdie is wat ek wil doen, maar hierdie is my struggles wat ek het. Hierdie is my day-to-day, hierdie is my, ek moet tyd aan hierdie spandeer, ek het nie 'n keuse anders as om dit net gedoen te kry nie. Soos, in al daai dele van jou lewe, is daar iewers 'n plek waar jy actively invest in iets wat actively net ander 'n probleem veroorsaak. As jy verstaan wat ek sê. I had to figure out what it was that was frustrating me the most, and constantly receiving a notification that says that I do not have storage capacity on my phone, yes, is a big problem for me. Okay, alle grap is op 'n stokkie. So, buiten die feit dat ek nie geupload het op my YouTube vir soos 'n jaar nie, is daar ook 'n hele paar dinge wat verander het in die laaste jaar. En hierdie gaan 'n redelike lang chat wees. So as jy nog steeds hier is, great. Welkom, dankie. Ek waardeer jou tyd. Jy het sommer nou al. Ek het nou gerand oor content creation. So it has occurred to me that ek myself boeglang gewerk het om content te create vir wat ek dink jy wil sien. Okay? So ek moes half om dit wat ek doen in my dag create. En eintlik wil ek net soos vir jou wys wat dit is wat ek regtig doen met my dag en hoe ek regtig leer cope. En hier is hoekom. Baie van die goeders wat ek doen is anders as wat ek geleer is om te doen. En daar's soveel meer dele van dit wat ek nooit geleer is hoe om te doen nie. Wat ek self moes leer om te doen. En dit is nogal scary as jy self moet goed leer doen. Daar is ook 'n groter deel van my lewe wat ek net nog nooit regtig geleer het nie. Omdat dit nog nooit regtig so 'n groot deel van my lewe was nie. En die laaste jaar het dit develop. En meer develop en anders develop. En ek flippend hoop dat jy wat hierdie kyk, dat jy moes al iewers 'n bietjie verander het. Vandat die lockdown begin het, vandat die pandemie begin het. As jou antwoord nee is, dan moet ek nie gesels. Asseblief, want jy mis uit op soos 'n magical wêreld. Daar's 'n deel van jou wat gaan moet aanhou werk aan dinge voordat jy kan die rewards kry van dit af. En daar was baie dele wat deel van my proses nie nou die punt nie. Maar die laaste jaar was soos 'n mixture van, oh my soul, how does this just, how did it come into fruition? And then you're like, when the things you were grateful for a year ago before you had them has been your reality for the last year. And you can actually talk about it because it's real and it happened. And there is a magic in gratitude. Stuff like that. So let's get to a year ago. I was so excited to vlog the lockdown. And I think a sense of me went back to when I was a child. I've been reflecting a lot on my childhood, which is super aligned with my cosmic realm. I guess there was a sense of me that needed like a plan for entertainment. If you're gonna isolate me, as jy vir my gaan isoleer, moet jy vir my entertain hou. Want andersins gaan ek my kop verloor. I kind of planned my vlogs in that way. So I wanted to have fun and practice a creative hobby and get ready for the year. At the time as well, I had just left an 11-year cycle of working in the corporate realm. That happened for reals, yes, and took a giant leap of faith to instead build a career of passion, which completely changed my life again. I was hopeful, I was excited, I was like amped up, looking forward to the future. Yes, great, finally I'm gonna have time to spend on my YouTube. I can't just pret en plesier because I'm gonna be at home, I don't have to go anywhere. You know, if everything aligns, Dina. And you know when you think you know, and it turns out that you had no idea what it is that was gonna happen next. That giant leap of faith. Maybe each person who has taken a giant leap of faith goes through this realization or revelation. I don't know, but I do wish for every person to experience taking a leap of faith. Like actually, legitimately, intentionally committing to it to the point where there is no, if my business does not work out, I am going to, you know, I can always just reapply for a position. That's not taking a leap of faith. So there's a huge commitment behind taking a leap of faith. And at the time, that was also my reality. Papa Cyril was decided to tune me. You are now grounded, miss. Maar juffroukie, jy gaan nou maar 'n ander plan moet maak. Correct. And like, I'm not taking away from anyone else's journey. I am sure if you were impacted, I feel you, and it's not nice. It's not lekker. It's not, you know, we can have a conversation about that if you feel the need for some safe space. I'll lend you some support. Super grateful that I had at a very early age in my life, having been in this system and having figured out that, you know, I do not belong in a corporate environment. My name does not belong on a contract that tells me how many leave days I can take in a year. That is a video for another time, and if you wish to, I can make a video on, you know, the mindset programming around if you do wish to one day quit your corporate job and what I did to quit my corporate job. If you're interested, I'll ask and you shall receive and I shall share. That was a bit of a ramble, ek hoop jy's nog met my. So yes, it was a very exciting time, and at the time as well, I had steadily started to build a network marketing stream of income, which was a completely new experience that I had flippin' no idea was going to be as rewarding as it was. But sure, it's a different ballgame when you really want to create the life that you want to live and walk away from the securities that, you know, you were programmed to believe is going to be there for you. And that has been a journey within itself. I had been listening to a webinar that was spread over 4 days, where they kind of take you through the training of setting up a YouTube channel and the ins and outs and your hashtags and building up the courage and your mindset and, you know, the whole details of how to. Then the last assignment was to publish your YouTube channel. So I did it. Then there was more assignments to like publish more. So it was more like a follow through on a webinar that I was doing. And at the time, I wasn't necessarily thinking about truly building like a personal relationship on my platform. And now that I've had some time to absorb it, I kind of like it, which means that I won't have to show you guys this crazy side. During the pandemic, my fiance and I, well, now fiance, because we got engaged, that also happened. But we went through a very transformative time. I am pretty sure that for anyone who has a small business that requires like belly-to-belly action or like a meetup time, any person that has that or has staff or has a shop or has anything like that was impacted by the pandemic. And somehow you had to find a way to recreate your business to still function and be in business and generate the income that you need to sustain your lifestyle. I'm pretty sure that every small business owner went through that. And I was in a privileged position to have been building my fitness business for about 6 years at the time. So the income was pretty comfortable in a way. And that was also a major win for walking away from corporate. But that took tremendous effort, and it took many years of investing and networking and just, you know, figuring this thing out, scratching this itch that's a passion for fitness, you know, figuring out who it is and identifying with myself in that passion. Okay, cool, I'm here now. What does this world look like? How do I pursue it? How do I build it? How do I, you know, move forward with this? How do I deal with my clients? What type of products do I provide them? And it's like that kind of with anything. And the last, I would say, year has been the upgrade of the version that I had just graduated. But I didn't realize that I had graduated. Dis is om jou naam te sien in die koerant as jy nie seker is of jy dit gaan maak of nie. So tipe oomblik. So ek's baie grateful, maar daar's baie changes wat nou weer moet gebeur. I had to find ways to migrate my business. I had to find ways to relay my services to my customers in a different way. And when you're building a business where it's personal relationships with people and it is something based on health and being active, and there is a virus killing people everywhere and you can't get to them, but you want them to stay active, then one of the ways is to do it online. It is. And here's the catch. I can fully understand why some people just, they cannot sign into a meeting ID and then put in a password and then check this and then check that. Some people cannot, it's just not their thing, okay? And I respect that. I 100% do. And so that was a major shift for my business, and working around that and working around government regulations. For the first time being a business owner, I had to somehow figure out, okay, you know, how many sanitizer bottles do I need to have in my car if I have so many clients? To keep everyone safe. Like, what is it that I need? I couldn't help but feel this impact of having all of my streams of income that has faithfully and gracefully been built for so many years. Like, I could see it being impacted by the pandemic. And then there's this part of me that's like, but remember, you took a leap of faith. So you've got to have faith. And by nature, by born nature, I am a very conflicted human being. Because right there in that moment is where I go, ek verstaan nie. Is dit net soos? I'm conflicted at that moment. So that glitch bietjie. I remember there were days where I was praying for just some sort of direction, some clarity. Which one should I focus on until it is successful again, until it is back on its feet? I said successful. I don't know where I picked it up, but now every time I say successful, it comes out as successful. Odd. Ons almal doen weird goedjies. And it is only once you embrace your weirdness and you share your weirdness that you can find your wild, weird tribe. Hi, my name is Nedine and welcome back to my channel, Just the Journey. My experience of trying to get my shit together, pandemic hit. I remember nights when I was just praying for direction, praying for breakthrough, for understanding. And then my prayers changed into prayers of release, like just show me how to let the need to control the outcome go. Show me how to let it go. And then magic found me. When I started reading The Magic from Rhonda Byrne, there was something inside of my mind that clicked. You must have had a moment before where something happened and you had a definite before and after moment. Think about the first time you learned how to ride a bike and you had those little support system pieces on the side. And then the first time you took them off and you fell down. That was a definite before and after moment. That is exactly what this book did in my life. I wasn't necessarily looking for a gratitude book at all. I was just looking for a new method to pursue, to better navigate through the challenges of life. That's exactly. And as a reward, I get to work on myself and develop my skills and develop my mind and develop my thinking. And such a big part of me was so invested in that journey. And there's this personality inside of me that loves to challenge herself all the time. But it just feels amazing when you work on yourself, or when you used to have a bad tendency of maybe snapping or freaking out when people say things to you, and now you can just respond objectively and just realize that that person's response has absolutely nothing to do with you. It is a reflection of their own stuffs, you know? There is a certain magic in that. Gratitude journaling definitely had a big impact. A friend gifted us the book online. I've never actually owned a copy, but a friend gifted us the book, and we, at the time where we were staying, got to a point where we just sat down with one another and decided, okay, what is it that you want? What do you want? You've seen those reels where they're like on the one side but on the other side. That was kind of what it was. We had to decide what it is that we wanted from our lives, and what do we see us creating as a couple, and you know, where do we stay? What do we eat? How do we spend our time? What is it that we occupy? Like, what conversations do we have? If you haven't watched any of my previous videos, please go watch the one I uploaded before this one. I'm gonna link it in here or here. I don't know where it pops up on the screen. We'll see. In this general area, here's what I've come to realize. In most cases, when a person starts to apply any method of manifestation or mindset work or anything in that general direction, there are many factors that are very important when you are truly, intentionally, from a pure place of heart, investing in these practices and investing in developing yourself. Because as much as self-development is a beautiful place to go to and to go through and to experience, you also need to understand that it's not always moonshine and roses. And there's a part of you that you're gonna have to work on if you wish to speak your truth and to truly step into who it is that you want to be. Rhonda Byrne has this incredible way of guiding you along a thought trail to your breakthrough. At least that's how I experienced it. It was an easy, consumable, and applicable read. So if you are gonna get it, if you are gonna purchase the book, please do invest in yourself. Get the book, The Magic from Rhonda Byrne. Get all three. There's 3 books in her series. Most of you should know The Secret, or maybe you've watched the movie. Not the point though. Slowly but surely, these gratitude pearls started to manifest and become real, and so much changed. And during the time of being isolated and migrating my business and developing my faith in taking the leap of faith, but learning all of that, that moment was at such a significant time in my personal journey. I started to realize, okay, at some point, your blessings are delivered upon your obedience. Are we ready for this? Are we ready for this? And such a deeply rooted need, not even a need, like a voice, like a tingling sensation, like a warm hug from the inside. That message whispered to me that the only way for me to truly be ready for any blessings to be delivered upon my obedience, yes, is to work on spirit and myself. Spirit, self. Spirit, self. Okay. That is most where I discovered answers to questions that I have had for a very, very long time. During that time, I was also very graciously and lovingly guided out of my comfort zone. We moved into our own little home during a freaking pandemic. That's like the type of thing that can only happen if you believe in magic, and it can only happen if your dreams are pure and true and your manifestations come from a pure place. But I didn't necessarily know how to communicate that on my YouTube channel. I am, above anything, truly grateful for the testimonies of gratitude journaling. Because if it wasn't for our home and this place that we have called our home for the last year, if it wasn't for this, I wouldn't even be able to preach to someone else, please start practicing gratitude. There were so many things that started to happen and take place and shape in my life. Even though I knew that I would be prepared for when the blessings are delivered, I would be ready. And that's exactly what this process is. This process is what instills everything that I need to carry those blessings and to carry them through fruition onto the next version of themselves and itself, and the next blooming season. 'Tis the blooming season. That is so ironic because so much is changing now. It's a year later. I guess that is exactly what is supposed to happen in your life when two people meet one another and they make that decision that they're like going to be best friends forever and ever. This is what we're doing now, forever and ever. Anyone who has moved into their own apartment with a loved one would know that it is an adjustment. It is a brand new relationship that you're gonna have to build, should you wish for it to be a pleasant experience. And it doesn't excuse the times that you're gonna have some bumps and things, but you're just gonna have to do it. That is the truth of the matter. And some things change, and we, at the time, were staying by my mom-in-law in our own little space. However, when isolated, alone, there is a certain impact. When isolated with people, there is a certain impact. I'm just going to pop that in here too, because I haven't shared it with my community. One of my favorite podcasts is No Fucks Given. No fucks given. Understand? from Sarah Knight. She is the author of the No Fucks Given Guides. She is funny. Her podcast is sweary, which is also something that I live with. And again, like, I used to stress out about if YouTube was going to block me because I say that word. You know, you see how I've been, I used to be very worried about that. Now I'm just not going to care. I'll just like then re-edit it or bleep that part out and then resubmit the video. It's cool, whatever. Back to what I was saying. Focus. I can focus. I was listening to a podcast of Sarah Knight. I can't remember which episode it was, but I'll actually go and look for it. If I can find it, I'll pop it in for you. But she was talking about how to set up your fuck budget with your fuck bucks. And your fuck bucks and your fuck budget are basically the things that you actively invest into. And then there's many categories. Again, if you want a video, I can make a video on that for you too. She was explaining how to identify with the things in your life that you are actively spending your time on, that is also actively creating a big concern or a big issue in your life. You kind of know this process. I don't want to complicate it for you, but if you know that you have an addiction, for example, and you truly wish to quit and to break that addiction and to break that bad habit, then doing things like actively placing yourself in a position where that addiction can be fed is not necessarily the best decision for you to make. So in this podcast, she kind of helps you identify with actions like that. It doesn't have to be as heavy as addiction. It can be lighter than addiction. So mine, for example, was that I needed to identify what it was with my YouTube that was frustrating me the most. You know, Nee, for the longest of time, I just couldn't figure out if I want to talk like this now, you know, waar I sommer midway sentence besluit ek gaan Afrikaans praat, or if I wanted to keep it very professional and keep it educational style and just talk to you like this all the time, sharing tips and tricks and traits, because that hits home more in the brain and you remember it easier. And I just couldn't decide which one I wanted to do. So I decided that I just wasn't going to force it. So I was going to show you the real me, and then, you know, however the next video comes out, that's how it comes out, and that's just how it's going to be. I'm not going to force it anymore. I'm not going to try and maneuver around the things that I do. I get up to strange things. In the last year building a home, a lot has changed, and I don't even recognize the person I was a month ago. I'd be worried if I did. Honestly, I would. The point that I want to make with this video, for you to get to know me a little bit better, is that one, we found the book The Magic, written by Rhonda Byrne, and gratitude journaling has completely changed my life. Gratitude journaling and my previous video, 8 Habits, there are a few other things that also I would say are major contributors, especially now with some of that coming into fruition as well. But a lot has changed. So much has changed. And I'm not the same person anymore. And during this time of building our own home together, I decided to take a step back from YouTube and to get serious about those things. And because in all honesty, the day we moved in, that first sunset that I spent here, I honestly just couldn't fathom (2020), in my opinion, the first half of where the hell have you been the last year, Nedine? 2020. That to me in my life was like when you was soos wanneer die farmer die grond begin voorberei en spit en net soos reg kry en wat alles, you know. En ek het baie dele van myself gevind gedurende daardie tyd. En een van die grootste realizations dat ek persoonlik gehad het, was my journey in active investment of my aandag wat ek gee, the attention that I give to exploring the relationship and the world that I self have with my ego, or with ego in general. I'm going to make it objective because I don't refer to it as mine anymore. But the relationship that self with ego and self with spirit. And this shifted a whole bunch of other things the next 6 months. So let me catch you up with 2021. After I had sat down and decided what it was that I wanted to create with my life, I knew that if I wanted to have more, I would have to do more again. And that's kind of where the journey of self with ego and spirit started. Choose Your Battles, Baby by Katy Perry. Go listen to that song. That sounded hectic. I chose my battles. Storage on my phone was not going to be a battle, and decided to get very serious about my leap of faith and where I was going to focus and how I was going to focus on it. And I decided to embrace isolation, because the only thing that was frustrating me about isolation was that it wasn't my own isolation, it was in my own space. And with that manifestation becoming a reality, I knew that, okay, if those seeds have now been harvested, I need to plant new seeds. Where do I go from here? What is it that I do next? Throughout my self-development journey, which is now 7 years coming, it's not something that I can really put into words for any one person. I don't think I can put it into just one sentence for it to make sense. But there is a part of you that will never finish developing. And I don't think you should ever stop developing. I don't think you should ever not pursue working on yourself to be a better person, to be a better version of yourself. Now, during that process of working on being better, I discovered that I didn't want to be better. I didn't want to be just better. I wanted to be the best version of myself. I didn't want to be a higher version of myself. I wanted to be the highest version of myself. And I don't mean high. I mean like actual like, anyway. Point being the highest version of myself, it dawned on me that I would need to identify that one thing that I want to be known for. That, you know, what is it that you want to be known for? What is it that you want the general conversation to be when somebody refers your podcast or your channel or your Instagram to someone else? Why would they do that? What is it that you have to say? Why should this person, coming back to fuckbox, why should this person actively invest their fuckbox into giving a fuck enough about your journey, Nedine, my journey, to actually watch it and come back next week? And this marks the second half of that journey. And you know what? If you're not sitting down, sit down. Be humble, because that's about how I felt. Self-development brought me to a new way of thinking and a new way of being and a new way of connecting with self-development. And there's a part of that journey that is selflessness, that is thinking about the impact you have by the words you speak and the posts you make and the videos you upload to the person consuming it, to the person watching up until now. You are the real MVP for staying. Thanks. There's a part of you that becomes selfless. And when you become selfless, it has dawned on me yet again. So many times this has happened to me. I've lost count. But being on a journey of selflessness, being on a journey of self-development, I have been called and named and shouted at to be a bitch. Apparently I'm a bitch. So now I'm just labeling that journey as becoming a selfless bitch. So that's natural. During the pandemic and during the first half of this year, so much changed in my personal life. So much more of who I am became clear to me. I remember so many nights thinking about, I am actively building on these things in my life, and do I wish to be known for these things? How do these things fit into my bigger picture? What is the bigger picture? How do I see that happening? I have always been a person that looks up at the moon, that looks up at the stars, and I just think to myself, wow. A part of that is me rolled out on a canvas, and I can understand it if only I wish to take the time to understand it. And I don't think I've ever shared that on my social media. Like, actually admitted that I love the stars, I love the moon, I love the trees. Sometimes I hug them. I love the plants. I love animals. I do love mankind. It turns out that there's a big part of me that challenges the tradition and the traditional way of doing things. I am a disruptor, okay? I have done multiple quizzes to check if it is true. Parts of me have wished that it's not true. And now all of me embraces the fact that it is true. I wish to disrupt your thinking. I wish to disrupt your day-to-day. I wish to disrupt your bad habit of doing that same thing that is putting you back 7 steps. Okay? And there is no way that I am going to find my wild, weird tribe if I do not share more of these things that I'm about to mention to you. So, as much as I love reading books, and I love developing my mind, and I love painting, and I love hiking, and I love coffee, but I also love tea. I love yoga, but I also love weights. I love so many things. There are so many things, and there are so many things to all of us. I think a big part of it is just about, it always stayed in the back of my mind, who is gonna watch your video? Because if it's my Instagram community, then y'all have been around for a while. You guys have seen me through all the stages. If you've been around a while, we've been through breakups, we've been through job changes, we've been through hairstyle changes, we've done some pretty crazy things, okay? And this should be no different to share. There is a big part of my life that I've never truly shared over on any of my social media platforms. And it has become a bigger part of my life. And if I wish to, again, find my wild, weird tribe, then I would need to show more of that. So, as of more recent days, started to share more of the journey of my spiritual side of my life on my social media. And please understand that it took a tremendous amount of courage to share that online. And I knew exactly the risk that I was taking. And I thought I was prepared for the impact. I really did. I really thought that I was prepared for the impact. Turns out that I wasn't prepared for the impact at all. I'm being dramatic. I was actually surprised. There were many of you that enjoys the more spiritual side of things, that actually enjoys me sharing about my moon rituals and sharing about, you know, my crystals, showing you my vuurwerk and my cards, you know. And then there were also, again, there's always going to be people who are going to have a different perspective, or are not going to understand it and immediately reject it, or are going to have an opinion about it. And that initial impact, I don't think anybody is ready for it when you start to share something that you've kind of held away from the world for the first time. You're always going to have that kind of, you know, it's scary. It's a scary thing to do. I knew that I wanted to share it and I wanted to show it because it is a big part of my life. And for me to stop sharing it because of the few people who don't like it isn't fair towards the people who do like it. And it especially isn't fair towards myself and the commitment that I made to myself to stay consistent on my social media, to show up consistently and to post consistently. So that was a very big step for me, and it has come to my attention that such a big part of me coping with life and me understanding life from a self perspective, from a self-awareness perspective, from a intentionally creating my life perspective, I have come to realize that many of my practices and my rituals and the things I do, like for example burning incense or burning a specific incense when there is a full moon and having crystals around and wearing certain color clothes. I don't know, it gets pretty magical. Many of those things that I do, even as a child, I was told that those things were taboo. And these things have been part of my life forever. I remember having a box as a child, a little trinket box. And inside this trinket box, I had crystals. At the time, I didn't know they were crystals because I didn't have Google. Like the kids of today have Google. I didn't have Google. So crystals, and they weren't crystal books in my house, okay? So anyway, I didn't know that it was crystal. So I had a box, and inside this box I would put all the little things that find me along my journey. Feathers and I don't know, there were many different things in there. That was I don't think I applied the necessary hygiene back then at all, which would make sense for a lot of scrambled things in my life too. These practices have kind of been a part of my life for a very long time. It's not something that I've always looked at the time, and maybe you've even seen it. You know, when you see 11:11, you hear make a wish. We all know little parts of these things. And then there are some parts of these type of things that are considered to be taboo by many people. It turns out that during my brave action that I took to explore the world of the things that I was programmed to believe are taboo, during that period of time, I kind of found my voice and my truth and what makes my soul happy and what I get excited about to do and why I do it and how I do it. I am just sharing the parts of my life that have guided me to those parts, and this is a very big part of it. It's a very big part of it. Being intentional about burning incense and lighting candles around sunset time and sitting outside, taking a couple of deep breaths, reflecting on the day, letting go of the things that have no place in the day of tomorrow, forgiving myself for making mistakes, just being in that moment, breathing in that moment, living in that moment, and saying thank you for the mere consideration of being alive, that grace from God, that moment. Those things have meaning, and for some reason, because of some of the other practices that I do in my life, it has also occurred to me that I am now called that witch, okay? So I'm gonna take it because I like it, but can we combine the two and then just go with like that witch bitch? Because that works for me. There's a part of me that practices those things, and I know my truth in them because I know who I am and I know why I do what I do. I just wish to be that voice for the person seeking information about things, simple things. Crystals, I had no books in my childhood home, so now as I'm a little bit older, I'm really diving into research. As of my middle 20s, I kind of really started taking that journey serious. I'm only sharing it on my socials now. which I realized as well is a very big filter between you and me that goes up, and I don't want that to happen. I want you to know that I hug trees while listening to frequency music, and I'm like, all of this abundance, it's beautiful, it's eternal. If we are going to pursue this journey, just the journey is about more than that. Yes, I do wish to build a community of different brews of people. I've decided to call my different videos brews because some people like strong black coffee, some people like a hazelnut latte, some people are really gonna like a mochaccino, you know? It depends. But I want to be able to talk about all those things on my channel, and I want to share all of those parts of who I am instead of tiring myself out from creating around it. It's weird, okay? It's weird, but it works for me. Point being, I want to be able to share those. Hier is ons nou by die einde van die video en ons nie 'n outro nie. Because yes, anyway. I think I said it all. Some things I didn't mention, but I guess at some point it'll just be evident in the videos to come. That covers most of what has happened, and yes, there has been a lot of work behind the scenes, and I'll be sharing more about those things in the videos to come. But I hope now you kind of get to know me better. You kind of feel like, okay, if I had to bump into this chick at my local grocery store, what would she sound like? If I had to comment on a video with a question or a suggestion or a recommendation or a complaint, you know, what is she going to sound like? Is she going to attack me, or is she going to try and understand? Are we actually going to have a conversation? If I had to ask her for advice or whatever, what it would be? What would it be? What would the direction be? Or if she is going to share content, what is she going to share? You know, maybe you know somebody who needed to hear this. Maybe you needed to hear this. I don't know. Point being, now it's here. Now it's done. That's kind of who I am and what I sound like. I'm hoping that there's at least one of you that resonates with any and everything that I have mentioned in this video. And if it has, join me. Hit subscribe. Also, I need to get my nails done. Hit subscribe. If you don't want to miss a conversation, ask to be notified with the little bell. Drop a comment down below. Say hi, introduce yourself. If you have a YouTube channel, let me know so I can hop on over and support you too. Like this video if you liked it, if you enjoyed it, if you maybe giggled, if you maybe had a moment of aha. I don't know, you know, you'll know. But if you did enjoy it, and if you are still here, thank you. I appreciate your time. I appreciate the fact that you invested your fuck bucks over here on my YouTube channel. And I hope it sparked some action for you. I hope it gave you some direction. I hope it gave you that rest on your chest that it is okay to be weird. It's okay to try different things. It's okay to pursue things that truly makes your soul happy. And ain't nobody can tell you what to do anyway. So that's it. That's all from me. I don't have anything else. You must go have a beautiful day. You are capable of incredible things. You are a magical human being. You have everything that you need to create the life that you want. And you have a voice, and you have truth, and you deserve to speak your truth. So go do that today. So until next time, my fellow Justian, go do your absolute best to get your shit together, even if it's just for today.
Ek weet ek het die goed daar gesit, maar ek sal nog steeds op 'n trap. Daar is legit soos 'n butterfly.
Hi friend. My heart is so full now. Thank you.